Okay, hello, ESL 42 class. Right now I am going to review, as the title of this video says, chapters 3 and 4. That was the test on supporting details and implied main ideas. So I'm hoping that you can see, obviously I am asking you to have this test out in front of you. I returned that to you during our last class, but obviously we didn't have an opportunity to review it. So I'm doing that on a video lecture now. As I review this chapter 3 and 4 test that you should have in front of you now, mark any questions that you have if I don't answer them during this review of the test. So now I'm looking at page 1, and here we have a main idea in the first paragraph that talks about 4 clear phases. And phases are like stages or steps in a process. So as soon as we see that, we should be thinking to ourselves, phases, this might be something having to do with time. But, as always, continue to read and make sure that you know. So here, they're talking about the first question, the major supporting details. And you'll see that with proper annotation, you probably have marked the transitions that show you the major supporting details. Now, since this talks about stereotyping having 4 clear phases, then the major details are going to be D, the stages or steps people go through when they stereotype. So here we can see that in fact it's time order. Each step has to happen in this order. We can't change it around, so we know it's not a list. And it's not they're not characteristics that are the examples, because those are all different. B, it's not about the people who studied the stereotypes. That just doesn't support at all. It's not examples of stereotyping, because then each of these first, second, third, and finally would be examples of people stereotyping, but that's not true either. So the only appropriate answer to the first one is D, the stages or phases. Those two words have very similar meanings, and again, you could have looked those up during the test if you weren't sure, and you'd realize that that's the correct answer. The next one, how many? Obviously 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Signaled by first, second, third, finally. Sentence 2 provides the main idea. Again, if you annotated this as you did the test, that would be a very easy question to example, and then you see our list words here often that are found in the main idea. 4 clear phases. So obviously that's the main idea. It says economists are used in the paragraph as, and that's not major details, it's minor details, because look, for example, economists. Again, for example, economists. And we've already talked about signal phrases like examples often are minor details. And here we can see that it's not a major detail, but the example is a minor detail that helps us understand what we're talking about here in terms of stereotyping. The last question on the first page, according to some researchers, people who stereotype end up by judging. Again, reading carefully is a key part of being able to succeed on these reading tests. It says judging. What are they judging? They're not judging the phases, making a judgment about them. They're certainly not judging their acquaintances or people that they know. The definition of stereotyping is judging individuals that they don't know or are not acquainted with. So these are the answers to the first page of the chapter 3 and 4 test. All right, now this is page 2 of our test. Again, if you do proper annotations, and I hope that you can see this clearly up here, we've got the main idea marked, then we have some supporting details. So let's take a look at this. It says in the top, we want to look for factors why poor people are less healthy. So I was looking for the word factors why poor people are less healthy, but not poor people are less healthy than rich. That's not the main idea, because we have to have factors. Here are the factors, okay? Again, if you annotated correctly, you notice the transition signals for 1, second, another, fourth, and last. So again, we have transition signals here that indicate the 5 supporting details. So the first one, of course, less nutritious diets. Next, I was looking for lower standard of living. Some of you did not clearly indicate that, and that's why you missed that one. And again, same thing, I'm looking for the words low quality medical care, more physical stress, and more psychological stress. Again, you lost points here if you just said stress, because that's not good, because there's 2 kinds of stress. Okay, so these are the annotations you should have made and the answers you should have given. Check them against your own papers. Now the next page. Okay, here, see if I can fit everything on. Okay, here we're looking at page 3 of the chapter 3 and 4 test. So again, with your annotations, the correct answer for number 1 on this page was B, and it's not this one because that's too narrow. Yes, that's true. They talked about the war on drugs in this first sentence, but in order to capture everything, it says our war on drugs ignores the 2 deadliest, though legal drugs, alcohol and tobacco. What you can see here is that they're making a lot of effort to punish people who get involved in certain drugs because they're dangerous. But really, if we look here, at the same time, 50,000 people die of alcohol. And 1/3 of a million people, that's over 2.5 million people, die every year from cancer and cigarettes. So here we can see that correct answer is B. All right, the next one. It has to do with why tabloids publish stories about celebrities. The answer is C. There are a few reasons why tabloid publishes untrue stories about celebrities, even though the celebrities might sue them. So the point here is that if the tabloids are those trashy papers that talk about what Hollywood stars are breaking up or getting married or having a baby. All right, so that's what tabloids are. All right, so here in this one, they're talking about why they would publish untrue stories. And of course, many, if not all of these stories aren't really true, and they could get sued by the celebrities. But they're talking about all the advantages. The tabloid will gain publicity if there's a lawsuit, so that's good for them. More people will know about them. Also, it's difficult. The burden of proof, meaning the celebrity has to prove that the paper's wrong. The paper doesn't have to prove that they're right, so it's easier for them. And also, the lawsuits are expensive and time-consuming. That's another reason why they would publish it, because they're thinking, oh, they won't go to the trouble. And finally, tabloids cater to people who enjoy gossip. Okay, so people like to read about these. So these are all reasons why C. There are reasons why they publish untrue stories, even though there are consequences. All right. At the bottom, this continues on the next page. So the correct answer here is C, not A. Let me go to that page so that you can see that. Okay, so here the answer we're looking for is because of customer complaints and publicity, car manufacturers are correcting car problems more quickly than they once did. So here we can see, I've got to go back now. It says, in the past, wait a minute, here we go. Got to move it up. All right, if you can see down here at the bottom, it says, in the past, it often took years to make changes. And then they give an example, and then you have a big transition. But in recent years, and then they go on to explain, as I showed you on the next page, why they're making much faster changes more quickly than they did before, okay, because of customer complaints and publicity. All right, that brings us then to the next one. Again, now I'm looking at page 4. We're trying to find the best statement that expresses the main idea of this longer selection. And the correct answer is B. and we have to look at this a little carefully. I know this was a tricky one, but B is the right answer. Arranged marriages are customary in many traditional societies in which romance is not as important as character and economic and social standing. So that's selection B. And when you look up here, we see that there aren't any judgments, excuse me. So C is not right. Parents are better at choosing. No, it doesn't say they're better. It's just telling us that they're different. You'd have to look for some value words that showed that it's better. So not C, but B. And this first one wasn't addressed. A, arranged marriages have fewer risks than marriages based on love and romance. It doesn't say anything about fewer risks. So you have to look through here again, annotate. Okay, love is not viewed as an important basis of marriage there. They welcome help, and they talk about some other good things. So all of that is pointing towards B as the correct answer. Okay, that concludes the lecture on Chapter 3 and 4 reading test. In order to keep this from getting too long, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to do another review of the reading test that you just completed, which I'll give back to you during our individual midterm conferences. Okay.